The aims and objectives for this week is first of all to understand what is meant by these two concepts. And in doing that, you should be able to, by the end of this session, state what is meant by the terms emotional well-being and mental well-being. You should also be able to outline how a work-life balance can help maintain both emotional and mental well-being. So why is it important? Mental and emotional well-being is essential to our overall health. Positive mental and emotional well-being allows us as individuals to realise our full potential. It helps us cope with the stresses of everyday life. It enables us to work that bit more productively and make meaningful contributions to everyone around us, our family, our friends, our colleagues, our neighbours, whoever is in your life. So, are emotional and mental health and mental health the same? And the answer is no, they're not, but they are linked. So emotional well-being refers to your ability to express feelings which are based upon information that you have processed. And mental health or mental well-being refers to the way in which an individual processes that information. So that's a bit of a mouthful, and hopefully by the end of these slides it will make sense, and if it doesn't, you can post me some questions on WhatsApp and I will come back then with a Q&A filler session afterwards if that's what's. So what's mental well-being? Mental well-being describes your mental state, how you are feeling, how well you're coping with day-to-day life. Now if you think back to last week, on the first slide we had that definition from the World Health Organization saying that health is not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And the same thing is true of mental well-being. Mental well-being does not mean that there's the absence of mental ill health. You could have someone who has chronic depression, who has long-term and enduring mental illness such as schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, but they take their medication, they are socially and physically active, they have a really good diet, they have support from their mental health team, and they have social support from their family and friends, and in terms of well-being they are very well, but they live with a mental illness. So our mental well-being is dynamic, which means that it can change from moment to moment, day to day, month to month, and at the end of the day we can get up in the morning having the best time ever, thinking it's a great day, the sun is shining, everything is going well, and nobody knows when you're going to get a phone call, when something's going to happen. So that means it's dynamic. If you have good mental well-being, you are able to feel relatively confident in yourself and have positive self-esteem. You should be able to feel and express a range of emotions, build and maintain good relationships with others, feel engaged with the world around you, live and work productively, cope with the stresses of life for the main part, and by there I'm not talking about really traumatic stresses, I'm talking about the day-to-day stresses that everyone encounters, the paying bills, sorting out the children, things happen at school or at work. And you should be able to adapt and manage in times of change and uncertainty. So mental ill health. Mental ill health and mental illness is a behaviour or a pattern that causes significant distress or impairment on the function. So it's whenever you're no longer able to maintain your mental well-being and your personal and daily function is affected. Maybe you're not getting up, maybe you're not buying the groceries, maybe you're not washing and dressing, maybe you're not eating, maybe you are not responding to other people phoning you or calling you, and your actual day-to-day functioning becomes affected. That's whenever the behavioural pattern of mental illness kicks in. Mental illness is a combination of how a person feels, how they behave, how they perceive, and how they think. Shocking statistics, but they're not shocking either, is 1 in 4 people suffer from mental illness every year in the UK. And 1 in 6 people report that they experience a common mental health problem such as anxiety or depression in any given week. So whenever people are saying now, you know, that we need to drop the stigma, whenever we look at these shocking statistics, and they are shocking, you know, we need to start talking about mental health. We need to be forward facing and just take this issue by the horns and deal with it. So what is emotional well-being? Emotional well-being takes work. It involves attending to and fine-tuning thoughts, feelings and behaviours, and it should be seen as an active process, and it is something that you have to work at. Not only do you have to work at it, you have to be mindful, and you actually have to really tune into yourself as a person. You have to tune into your own body, and you have to tune into your own mind, and you have to know what are your triggers, and what are those triggers, how do they make you feel, and how do they make you behave. So well-being, a state of well-being means that you have a level of resilience. You build up resilience and recovery from mental health problems and or stress that leads to a life worth living. Emotional health is a state of positive psychological functioning, and it involves expressing your emotions appropriately for one's age. Emotional health includes your thoughts, what's healthy feelings, healthy behaviours both internally and externally, and it requires managing emotional actions, engaging the appropriate reactions to situations, preventing unnecessary and unhealthy stress, and which if severe enough can lead to mental ill health, because it's whenever you stop being able to cope with the stresses in life that mental ill health would creep in. So emotional dysregulation, what does that mean? Emotional dysregulation really is a fancy term for what we would say in Derry, she's lost the plot. She's absolutely crackers and all's not wise. So it's a process which has 3 steps. So whenever you see that person that you think has lost the plot, never think that that behaviour has come out of nowhere. There has been an internal or an external event that has actually made that person feel in a certain way, and provoked that subjective experience. So we all have triggers that are subjective. So what might make me absolutely crazy, you could sit and laugh at. Something that stresses you out, I mightn't even bat an eyelid at. So that's what it means whenever we're saying they're subjective. It's, it depends on the individual person, and that'll be shaped by many things. It'll be shaped by how you were brought up. It'll be shaped by your environment, the people around you, lots and lots of things. Then that comes with a cognitive response. So basically something has happened and it has given you a thought. Even if that thought's fleeting, it's a thought. And that thought is then followed by an emotional physiological response. And that could be hormonal secretion, which is internal. It could be an increased heart rate, which is internal. You could break out in a sweat, which is external. You could be shaken, which is external. And this then culminates in a behaviour. So you might start sweating, and the next thing you're screaming and roaring, or you're crying your eyes out. So I suppose a perfect example, if any of you watch Coronation Street, and if you don't even go to catch up and look at the situation that happened this week with Yasmin and Jeff. And you could see, if you think about this process of emotional dysregulation, you can see that there was a catalogue of things happening for the lady Yasmin. Okay, so they were external, and they were provoking a response in her, and they were provoking a subjective experience. And I suppose this person had goaded and goaded and goaded at her until the feeling of anger kind of culminated within her. And you could see, if you look at her, and her acting was actually very good, you could see that she was shaking. You could see the stress building inside her. The cognitive response, which was followed then by the physiological response. And in this case, it culminated in the behaviour where she lifted the bottle and hit him over the head. Now that's an extreme example, but it is an example, and it's one where you can actually watch and see the whole thing play out. So this week I would like you just to get your head around the whole process of emotional dysregulation and how sometimes our emotional well-being can become compromised by an external trigger or or something that happens. So I want you to be thinking about an event that happened to you. Now I want to be very clear, I do not want you to be thinking on something traumatic. I don't want you to be thinking on something where you're sitting on your own and you end up distressed. So think on something that may be quite funny to other people, that makes you feel really, really angry, or really sad, or even really happy. So what was your thought? What's your cognitive response? Then what happened to you physically? So what's your physiological response? And then what is the behaviour? And that's the emotion. So you can see the connection now as well, which we will talk about another week, which is feelings and emotions and the connection between the two, what the difference in the two of them are and how they're linked. So how do we maintain our emotional well-being? Some tips for creating and living emotional health include identifying and building personal strengths. So think about the things that you're good at, and not only think about the things that you're good at, tell yourself that you're good at them. And tell yourself daily about the things that you are good at. And that's not being big-headed or full of yourself, but all you're basically doing is reinforcing a bit of self-worth within yourself, and that builds your confidence and your self-esteem. Realistically, see the positive in all situations, whether it's good or bad. And something bad or something negative may have happened to you that made you take the decision to start a course with the Women's Centre. So that is the good in that situation. So try and just build that into your psyche on a day-to-day basis and take the good from whatever happens. Develop resiliency to learn and overcome challenging situations. So when something so challenging happens to you, think about it. Think about what happened. Think about how it made you feel and think about how you reacted. But going forward, I would like you to take that one step forward and not only think about how you reacted, but now you go through a period of reflection and think, what would I have done differently? What were my triggers? And what happened? How did I respond? And what would I do differently if that happened again? And this is really you then engaging in a period or a phase of self-growth. See the good in yourself. We're all, we're the very best at telling everybody else what they're great at and how beautiful they are and how well they look. But we very, very rarely do it in ourselves. Think about the good things that you do for other people. Think about the good job that you do in your work. Think about the good job you do in your house. Think about the good things that you do for your family or your friends. Create coping skills to help you with mental health issues and stress. So that's really being proactive and looking after your mental and emotional well-being. And should that be engaging in activity, having a wholesome and balanced diet? Should that be practicing mindfulness, getting out to the gym, maintaining your social well-being, which is something that people don't really focus on. I think particularly females, we do not pay enough attention to social well-being, and it's very important because all of those things are tools that you can have in your tool belt, I suppose, whenever you can feel your mental or emotional well-being slipping. And living your life with a sense of purpose. Know who you are and what you're about.